Welcome. Any environmental assessment practitioner needs to undertake a preliminary investigation to fully understand the scope of a project before submitting an application for environmental authorization. So in this video, we explain what you need to be looking for and recording. In our second video, or part 2 for patrons, we combine the standard site inspection with a site sensitivity verification so that you can kill two birds with one stone. Welcome. My name is Sean McGregor of ecoleges Environmental Consultants based in Mpumalanga, South Africa, and we're on a mission to empower all South Africans to protect their environment through the correct interpretation and application of our environmental legislation. So if you want to learn how our environmental law applies to you, how to avoid costly and unnecessary mistakes, if you want to increase your knowledge and skills to reduce your reliance on external consultants, if you're in need of mentorship, or you just want to earn CPD points for professional registration, then subscribe to this channel. You can subscribe by swiping your mouse over the icon to the bottom right hand side of your screen. Remember to click on the bell notification icon so you can be notified the moment we upload a new video. And if you do know of anyone else who can benefit, you can help us spread this message by liking them. Thank you. The title of this video is How to Do a Preliminary Investigation. Apart from fully understanding the scope of a project, the purpose of a preliminary investigation is to enable the EAP to accurately complete an official application form for either a basic assessment or an environmental impact assessment. So our principal source of information has been MDADLIA's, the Mpumalanga Department of Agriculture, Rural Development, Land and Environmental Affairs official application form. I've also referred to the amended EIA Regulations of 2014, so I'll include a link to both those, that application form and the EIA Regulations in the description below. Appendix 1 of the amended EIA Regulations of 2014 identifies the objectives of a basic assessment process, which includes, among others, to identify the alternatives considered, including the activity, location and technology alternatives. So our first power tip is to ensure that you include or incorporate all those location alternatives into your preliminary investigation. Any preliminary investigation should involve two steps. The first is a desktop analysis. The second, a site inspection. Before arriving on site, a person should 1. Contact the Municipal Town Planning Department to determine the current land use zoning of the preferred site and site alternatives. 2. Use Google Earth to identify any sensitive geographical features such as a river, a wetland, a rocky koppie, outcrop, ridge or gorge like the one behind me, as well as measure the distance of these sensitive geographical features from the proposed development footprint. And then finally, measure the site coordinates for the center point of each alternative site, or in the case of a linear activity, then the start, middle and end points in degrees, minutes and seconds, using the Hartebeus Hook 94 WGS 84 coordinate system. The next step then obviously involves the site inspection. You'll want to walk along the corridor in the case of a linear activity, or along transects within the site alternatives, not just to familiarize yourself with the area, but also to verify the findings from the desktop analysis, such as, for example, to confirm the current land use zoning that was identified or determined by the Municipal Town Planning Department. Then to confirm the presence and distance to those identified sensitive geographical features, as well as other sensitive elements that you may not have picked up on Google Earth, like a borehole or a species of conservation concern. In this case, you'll want to not only record the coordinates using a GPS for each of these sensitive features and elements, but you'll also need to take photographic evidence. And then finally, record the site coordinates of the development footprint using a GPS as well. I know this was done during the desktop analysis using Google Earth, but this is an opportunity to obtain a more accurate ground truth location of the development footprint, as well as those other identified sensitive features and elements. And then finally, we also recommend taking notes of any noteworthy or significant observation relating to geographical, physical, biological, social, economic, cultural, or heritage sensitivities associated with any one of those site alternatives. The site assessment form will look something like this. At the top of the form, you can include the applicant's details, including the physical address, email, and cell phone number. Cell phone number is critical, particularly if you get lost or you're running late, then at least you can still contact the applicant. Project title is self-explanatory. You'll want to know which project this form has been completed for, and then here's a space to complete a description of the property, including farm name, portion number, and registration division. Now, each one of these forms will be completed for each alternative. At the bottom of the front page, I've got space to enter the site coordinates of the center point for a particular site alternative or development footprint in degrees, minutes, and seconds. Alternatively, if it is a linear activity, then you'll want to enter the site coordinates using a GPS for the start, middle, and end point. Please don't enter the coordinates that were measured using Google during the desktop analysis. This is an opportunity to ground truth those locations. On the second page is space to enter the current land use zoning that was obtained from the Municipal Town Planning Department, and then on site, or once on site, you can either confirm or dispute that. If you do decide to dispute it, then you'll want to enter a motivation and include photographic evidence. Please remember to record the number of the photograph that was taken on either your phone or camera. This is critical. Once again, if you do take a lot of photos, once it comes back to loading the data within a couple of days' time, you will not always remember which photo represents which location. So write down the number of the photograph, and I know this may be overkill, but it really is quite cool to include the cardinal direction that the photo was that the camera was facing, as well as the site coordinates using a GPS. Particularly if you want to copy and paste a photograph onto satellite imagery, you can indicate the direction that the photograph or camera was facing. Then beneath that is space to enter a description of the identified sensitive geographical features using Google Earth during the desktop analysis, as well as the distance of those features from the development footprint. Once you're on site, you can either then confirm or dispute the finding. Either way, you will want to enter a motivation and once again provide photographic evidence. At the bottom, I've included blocks or spaces for other sensitive elements such as boreholes, species of conservation concern, limited cover material, etc. So you'll want to describe the element itself, enter the GPS coordinates in degrees, minutes, and seconds, and then take photographic evidence. Finally, at the bottom is a section for notes, which obviously you'll enlarge depending on your needs, to enter any significant or noteworthy observations regarding the geographical, physical, biological, social, economic heritage, and cultural sensitivity of a site. And that's it. I hope this was helpful, and thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. In our next video, or part 2 for patrons, we combine this basic assessment form with additional considerations that need to be taken into account or investigated during a site sensitivity verification. If you haven't joined our membership program yet, then check it out on Patreon. Otherwise, if you're looking for a consultant to help you with a one-off project, you are welcome to visit our website. Check out our previous video. We explain the appeal process following the granting or refusal of environmental authorization. Next video, we investigate or explain how to undertake a risk and impact assessment according to the EIA Regulations 2014. Subscribe, click on the bell notification icon. If you want to help us spread the message, like the video. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you, keep strong, and God bless.